Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March 17th, and a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we have Perlo with us not once but twice this week. He'll join us today and on Wednesday as well here on the show, ready to break down this Monday NHL card. Again, St. Patty's Day. I've already had the St. Patrick's Day music going while I've been working throughout the course of the day. I've already heard Whack Fall the Daddy-O, it's whiskey in the jar, like 30 times already, but that's okay. It's St. Patrick's Day. And with that in mind, we said we're going to have a little daytime beer to celebrate the occasion. So Alex and Perlo would have, but not. He's got his sparkling drink.
Sparkling. Yeah, whatever you're drinking.
To everyone on this St. Patrick's Day, our great Ice Guys family. Sláinte.
Drink up, everybody.
There we go. Yeah. Boy, it's nice to drink on the Daily Show for a change. I mean, it is.
Every now and then we'll change of pace.
Yeah, it is. I like it. Great stuff. Feeling a little energized now after that little sip, that little swig of beer to get us going. Great stuff. Let's talk Sunday first. A nice Sunday card, a nice doubleheader on TNT to get the card started yesterday. And we saw Detroit, man. We talked about how the schedule might catch up to Vegas. It sure did. 3-0 Red Wings. Great job by Detroit there as they get the job done over the Vegas Golden Knights. What's frustrated me is I attacked it the wrong way. I thought Detroit would jump on them early. It didn't happen. It was a scoreless first period. But eventually they get the 3 goals from Johansson, Albert Johansson, Lucas Raymond, Marco Kasper, the friendly betting ghost, man. He's heating up again for the Detroit Red Wings. And pretty solid win. They were the better team. They outshot the Vegas Golden Knights 27-18. How about Peter Mrazek with the shutout in his second start for the Detroit Red Wings? Now, I know he only faced 18 shots. It was a better defensive effort. It didn't look like Vegas had a lot of energy, but still, you give Mrazek credit. It's better than what you've been getting from Lyon and Talbot for much of the season. So a nice win there for Detroit and a much-needed one as they try to keep their playoff hopes alive. Dallas, Colorado, this was a good game. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't as good as I thought it could have been until the third period, because really it was Colorado for 2.5 periods. They were the much better team, I thought, Colorado. I mean, Dallas just could not generate a whole lot as far as offense in that game. It was a very impressive job by the Avalanche, just really not giving Dallas much at 5-on-5 even strength. I mean, the Dallas goal in the first period hit the official, and it just led to just a nice 3-way passing play there. Rantanen, Hintz, and of course Robertson finishing it off. But Colorado with the 4-3 overtime win. Dallas was down 3-1, didn't have a lot going for them, and then just all of a sudden, bam, they strike for back-to-back goals, 2 goals in 20 seconds from Maverick Bourque and Matt Duchene to tie it up 3-3. And then Cale Makar ends up obviously winning it in overtime with just a wonderful rush up the ice. Ended up taking Ottinger with him and then shot it back against the grain. I thought Ottinger kind of not the best goal to give up, but it was one hell of a play, and he just had Ottinger going the wrong way. And just a phenomenal play by a great player with Cale Makar doing that. So a great win for Colorado. They deserved the 2 points. They were the better team. They broke down for about a minute there in the third. And thankfully for Dallas, they were able to. That's a good point for Dallas because they didn't play their best yesterday. So to get a point out of that was big as Colorado gets the win 4-3. And we do cash the over by Fekta. The first period over, and the best bet, which was looking dicey in that third period. But we do win it with the over 5.5 there with Dallas and Colorado as that game ends 4-3 Avs. Oilers 3-1 against the Rangers. John Massey said this. I've noted this in this game. It's time to point this out because this is 2 games in a row we've seen this from the Rangers. They have reverted to kind of Devils hockey of the 90s the last 2 games. 1-3-1 defensive-minded trap system And and obviously 2 unders and easy unders the last 2. This is something to note here for the Rangers, that they're not looking for higher scoring games. And Laviolette, I think, is trying to protect his D-core, which has not been very good, and just try to play more of a shell style of game, neutral zone, the trap style hockey. And that's exactly what we saw out of the Rangers last night. Unfortunately, they forgot to score, and the Oilers did just enough, obviously. The defensive effort gave them a chance, but unfortunately, they could not find the back of the net enough, other than Will Cooley and Victor Arvidsson, and a great goal by Connor McDavid to really put it away and give the Oilers a 3-1 win there over the New York Rangers. So I split the money line and the team total with the Oilers. We cash the money line, but we lose the team total. Florida and the Islanders, this game, obviously I lost the first period puck line, which is what the only Florida bet I had on that game. And then they went up 2-0 in the second. I'm like, watch these guys. I took them first period puck line. Now they're up 2-0. They're going to win this game, and I didn't bet them in regulation or money line. Well, thankfully I didn't, because then things fell apart for the Florida Panthers in the third period. And 4 goals for the New York Islanders, probably a product of the fatigue factor, back-to-back for the Panthers on the road, and probably a Vanacek factor as well. Not quite the guy that can shut the door like Sergei Bobrovsky can, but credit to the Islanders. They took advantage, and they get a 4-2 win over the Florida Panthers. How about St. Louis just dummying at Anaheim? 7-2 last night in that game. Look, I thought there was a bad scheduling spot for St. Louis, but boy, oh boy, Anaheim just got behind the 8 ball early, and you could tell that their confidence was shattered right away, because it just got worse and it snowballed. But credit to St. Louis. They now completely own the Anaheim Ducks. Another win for them. 7 goals in that game. A big night for Braden Shen, as he was honored before the game, for a milestone as far as games. And he gets not only the first goal, but he gets into a fight. It was a captain versus, I shouldn't say captain, because he is not the captain with Anaheim, but he was the captain with the New York Rangers. But captain versus a former captain. Braden Shen and Jacob Trouba had a scrap there in the first period after Shen didn't like a hit that Trouba laid there on Jordan Kyrou, and he came to his defense. That's why Braden Shen's one of my favorite captains. I mean, this guy is just the ultimate teammate, an ultimate leader, and nice to see him honored before the game. And he gets a goal and a fight on his big night. And the Blues had a big night, 7-2 over Anaheim. We cashed with Utah, 3-1. They get the job done against Vancouver. Again, a scheduling advantage for Utah. It was a back-to-back for Vancouver. And Utah's trailing Vancouver in the standings. So to me, it was like this is an important game for Utah after losing to Seattle, especially. This became really important for them to bounce back. Vemelka was very strong in net, and Utah gets a 3-1 win there. And Winnipeg comes back to beat Seattle 3-2 in overtime. Comrie ended up starting. We warned you about that on the show yesterday, that Eric Comrie could get the start. He did, but he played solid after the first period. Yeah, he gave up 2 in the first, but shut the door after that. And Winnipeg just got stronger. I thought Winnipeg really did not give Seattle much in the second and the third period. Just an impressive defensive effort. They defend like that, they are going to be very tough to beat in the playoffs. But as I've always said, Alex, with Winnipeg, can the regular season Jets show up in April in the Stanley Cup playoffs when it matters? That's obviously the question we all have to ask going into the postseason. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw Sunday?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's actually kind of concerning to see. It's nice that you get the win. Obviously you want to get the 2 points, but it's concerning to see yet again Winnipeg against a bottom feeder team needing to come back in that position. You can't afford to have games where you're down 2-0, 3-1 in the playoffs, and that's exactly the point. At this point, you should be blowing away Seattle's and San Jose's and Chicago's by 4-2, 5-2 margins, not 2-1, 3-2 in overtime, 3-2 in a shootout. So that's the thing that's kind of concerning, and that's regardless of goalie. Like I said, Comrie has been serviceable, but that, you have to have some games from him now where when he may. That's the thing for most of these teams that are in the top of the league. Your backup goalies have to come in and shut the door down. Look what Wedgwood has done. Granted, it's tough for him, at times yesterday, but he's been a good example of what a backup goalie can do for you late in the season, for your team. It's not just to spell your number one guy, but to give your team a good start and maybe steal a game when the rest of the guys are down. When it's that second leg of back-to-backs and some of those guys don't have their lungs and their legs late in the game, your backup goalie can make some big saves and steal you a contest. So that is the kind of a concern for them to have to come back and win against an inferior opponent. You look at Dallas against Colorado. We knew it was going to be a barn burner of a game. Like you said, we were lucky to get that full game over. First period over, cashed easily. That one I should have added a little heavy on both teams to score as well, because that spot lined up nicely. Jamie Benn with that penalty, and that was kind of questionable. They got to change this rule with the next CBA. This 2 minute, 4 minutes, or rescinding a penalty. I hate the fact that could have been a 2 minute penalty, because it looked like it was the player's own stick that hit him in the face. And like I said, still a high stick, but from 2 to 4, that made that certainly more advantageous. And you said in the chat, Ian, those are two teams that if you are playing them in the first round, and if they're playing each other, you cannot afford to have penalty trouble, because those power plays will absolutely eat you up. So that's a note that those are two teams that will have now become increasingly dangerous with the man advantage, and that's great for live betting as well. I'm not afraid now to lay 135, 140 next goal when those teams have a power play advantage.
Yeah, it's a good point, no doubt. Something to keep in mind for sure. Perlo, Sunday, your thoughts?
One thing I learned from the games, what I like is if I did really well yesterday, but I was a little heavier on Florida than I should have been. And what I learned from that is, in this condensed schedule, when you got 3 games in 4, especially when Florida played Toronto the first game, that I don't care who you are, your legs are going to fall off in the third. And I actually hedged and took the Islanders when going into the third, because Florida looked horrible going at the end of the second, and I didn't think that was going to change. So I ended up making a little bit of my money back. But I'm going to look at that more, especially now going down the stretch on back-to-back spots. Going to be heavier on back-to-back spots, especially for dogs and stuff like that, depending on the team, of course. But I thought the Islanders, they were checked out on the road. Maybe they came back and they're playing against Florida and they got a little, but I think anybody would have won that game against Florida going into the third. They looked like they were completely leg dead. So note to self, doesn't matter who it is. If you're playing 3 games in 4 nights right now, probably a good idea to fade that team or not bet it at all. The Colorado game, late before the game, I took 4-3 Colorado exact score. But we had everything on that. I had Dallas team total over. It was with you guys on the over. And that Dallas team total over was interesting, because I went up, did something, came back. It was 3-3. Had the draw and everything. So that was a great game. As far as the Winnipeg game, I actually had Seattle first period and a little bit on Seattle to win the game. But it's just a bad spot. Like you mentioned it yesterday, where are they really going to care about this game? But it's Winnipeg. These guys just seem to have something in them, especially in the regular season. Hopefully it'll carry over in the playoffs, that they want to win every game right now. They'll find a way. That
Seattle never made it 3-0, and that's what gave Winnipeg a chance. Winnipeg got it to 2-1, and then from that moment, Winnipeg took over the game. You could see it. Yeah.
And what I saw with Seattle is what I've been seeing all year is I don't know what they're doing there in Seattle. I like what are we doing here? You're just going to keep on getting guys that are middle 2-3, like Stevenson and stuff like that, and barely make the playoffs.
They don't have an elite level goal scorer. They have some good offensive talents. I like McCann. He's a nice player, good player. They don't have that great elite finisher and goal scorer. That's something they got to address.
They might have it though with that Newman.
That's Newman. That's actually how you pronounce it. Newman.
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 We're gonna have some. We're gonna have some references there. Okay, Newman.
You know what it is? The last Seattle game, the Seattle feed wasn't working. The game before, and they were calling him Nyman, whoever it was. The broadcast.
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
Nyman is what I was hearing. And that's why I called him Nyman. But finally, last night I was watching. Of course, I'd pick the Kraken feed with Johnny Forsland. There's not many better. And he was calling him Newman. And so that's definitely what it is. It's Newman, believe it or not. Yep.
He's looking good. Kid looks confident as heck, too. You see him behind the bench. He's like, oh, relax. I got this. So we'll see how long that lasts for. But right now, he's probably a goal prop, just so you know.
He is. I noted that. He scored last night. We're going to have to start looking at him.
He's a big kid,
prop
too.
for him
He's
for
huge.
Seattle. He's a big guy. He can skate for a man of his size, and he has got some finish to him, and he's got a good shot. So Yanni Newman for the Seattle Kraken, someone we're going to have to keep in mind here for goal props next time they're in action. Hello, Newman. How many? I know he's from Finland. I don't know how big Seinfeld was back there in
Right.
homeland, but still, I mean, that's would be. I'm sure he's heard about it by now. He's been in the North America long enough, but I'm sure he's going to hear that at some point with the old Seinfeld reference, knowing how you pronounce that name. All right, good stuff. Let's get into Monday. Our St. Patty's Day Monday night slate will begin with New Jersey. This is a big one. New Jersey and Columbus, where we have the New Jersey Devils minus 145 road favorites here at Nationwide Arena. The total here sitting at 6, pretty much across the board here in this one. This is a rematch because these teams just played in New Jersey recently, and it ended up being a pretty dominant effort from the New Jersey Devils in that game. They ended up getting a 5-3 win at home against Columbus. It was 6 days ago, last Tuesday, when these two teams played. New Jersey then beat Edmonton at home, but they are off a thumping against the Pittsburgh Penguins of all teams, 7-3 on the ABC Saturday Hockey afternoon affair on Saturday. So ugly effort from the New Jersey Devils there in that game. We'll see if they can bounce back from that here against, a Columbus team that I've got my concerns with right now. Columbus team that has now been blanked. You wonder if they've hit a wall. Jimmy Murphy mentioned that to us, that maybe they've hit a wall. I kind of sense that a little bit in this 3-game losing streak, and 1-5 in their last 6 games. They lose to Florida, Tampa Bay, New Jersey, Vegas, and the Rangers. They did beat the Rangers in New York 7-3, but that's the only win. And then, of course, they lost to the Rangers and got shut out by them on Saturday night. So back-to-back shutout losses. Now, they were in the system play again in the Columbus Rangers game after they lost to Vegas, and that game ended up staying under the total. So it's supposed to be a system play, but it was a first period full game under for Columbus. That being said, this is the super system play now for Columbus. And the Rangers we just mentioned are really playing this tighten it up style of defense right now. Like, look what we've seen from the Rangers the last couple of games. So I think that played a role in that, lower scoring game for Columbus getting shut out by the Rangers there. I think now when you look at this game and you look at New Jersey, they missed Siegenthaler on the back end. They're obviously they had a rough day defensively against Pittsburgh. That being said, I will say one thing about New Jersey. Jake Allen's going to start. You can make a case that at the moment he's playing a little bit better than Jacob Markstrom. I'm telling you. Markstrom was in net for that Pittsburgh game, and it was ugly. I thought he didn't play that great at all. Jake Allen's someone we've had some concerns about Jake. We talked about the streak of him giving up 3 goals or more in many of his starts. Well, you look at the last 2 starts, Philadelphia, 1 goal, 2 goals allowed on 33 shots in a win against Edmonton in his last start. Let's give the old veteran some credit here, Jake Allen. He's played well in these last 2 starts. We'll see if he can carry that over. It's, you would think it's got to be a desperation and high level effort and a high level of intensity here for Columbus tonight to try to snap this losing skid. And very interesting that because Elvis Merzlikins is out personal reasons, and obviously they played Tarasov on Saturday, they're going to go to the young Jet Greaves in net for the Jackets here tonight. He's had 5 appearances this year, 2-1-2, 2.98 goals against average, 906 save percentage here for Jet Greaves in this one. Look, this is a game where it's a stake in the it's put your stake in the ground for the Columbus Blue Jackets. You got to turn this around. New Jersey, a little hit or miss, especially still without Jack, still without Dougie, still without Jonas Siegenthaler, one of their better defensemen on the blue line as well. We're also talking about a Columbus team that's in revenge. They had a pretty bad game against New Jersey in Jersey last week. They still have a very good home record on the year. I'm going to give them another chance. Biggie, give me one. Biggie, give me one more chance. That's what I'm going to do here with the Columbus Blue Jackets. One more chance at this price here, because I think for the revenge motive, they got to stop the bleeding. I like the quote saying big focus on this game. So I'm going to do a Jackets money line team total here, split. Jackets team money lines around plus 125. The team total is minus 140 for Columbus team total over 2.5. I'm going to go with both of those here in this game. Back-to-back shutout losses. I'm also going to get in on the over by Fecta here. The super system play is when a team's off back-to-back shutout losses has still been pretty good this year for the most part. So I'm going to rock with that, as well as Jackets money line and team total split here in this game. It's such an important game here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. You could sense that this team might go off the rails a little bit if they don't win tonight. And the confidence, just because it's a young group, they've done an admirable job without some key pieces still. Like Sean Monahan is, someone that for a long time they've been able to still play well without him. But you're starting to see, Columbus starting to miss him dearly. But I think in this spot, I'm willing to give them a chance here. So don't let me down, the Beatles song. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, Columbus, because you've done it a couple times now. And I'm going to take one more shot with you here tonight. Alex, what do you think here? New Jersey, Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge game for both teams, but certainly for Columbus. And like I said, it just feels like if you lose another game at home and in regulation, that this could be, kind of the end. And without Merzlikins, wish him the best. But it's it's a terrible time to lose one of your most important players. Tarasov and Greaves are not going to be the answer in goal, as far as you need a shutdown game. You need a guy to steal your game. Those are two guys you don't really want to be relying on right now in the midst of a playoff race, and that's just unfortunate. But like I said, the Devils is a team that they've been fighting back. Where I thought they were kind of dead in the water. They've shown some life. They've shown some punch. I think this is going to be a good back and forth battle. So I will play the over by Fecta, the small pregame. I see minus $1.25 on the over 1.5 at Caesars. You can get over 6 at minus $1.10 at MGM and Caesars. But I'm looking for plus money in game. I'll go a little heavier on that first period over. See if I can try and grab a 5.5 as well in game. A couple minutes in the contest, and I'm on the draw. Now, shop around for the draw prices. We talking about how with FanDuel they had been kind of slacking off a bit. Now FanDuel has the best prices again. I see plus 350, where BetMGM has plus 300. Bet Online Offshore has plus 345. So definitely shop around and get the best of the number. But it looks like FanDuel is dealing some better draw prices these days.
I'm not a big assist prop guy, as you know. I'm mostly goal props, sometimes point props. But how on earth do you pass up Luke Hughes' assist here tonight? Like, this guy has taken all the Dougie Hamilton minutes, all the Dougie Hamilton responsibility, including the first power play unit. And you can get upwards of plus 135, I think, for assist for Luke Hughes tonight. I mean, that's definitely something to look at. There's no doubt he's been producing the points. You could even sprinkle on the goal prop, because he has found the back of the net, and it's upwards of plus 700 for the goal prop, upwards of plus 145 for his assist prop. So, those are worth looks here, in my opinion. Goal props, Olivier, we've talked about, worth a look. Fantilli, Kent Johnson, those are the two guys I'm counting on tonight. You're the young studs of the team long term moving forward. These are the games you got to step up and get it done in. We talked about Danforth, if for a little bit down the board type of shot. Jesper Bratt's heating up right now. Timo Meyer's heating up on the Jersey side of things. But I'll throw one out there that I really like from a bargain standpoint here for New Jersey. Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace. I'm telling you, Cody Glass, man, he scored against Pittsburgh the other night. He has been certainly making an impact here since the Devils got him. He's a pretty solid player, very versatile as well. In that third line center spot, he's found a little something here. 2 goals and 4 points for him in the last 4 games. Perlo, what do you think here, New Jersey, Columbus?
Wow, we're on the same page in a lot of ways here. I've actually been off of Columbus a little bit, and the reason why was I think they were running on Gaudreau energy quite a bit, and that outdoor game to me felt like almost like a finality of the whole Gaudreau thing. It was a huge. Not that it finishes or not that he's not in their heart or anything like that, but it just felt like, okay, now we got to be our team here a little bit too. We can't just run on this. And after that outdoor game, I was kind of fading him a little bit, sprinkling on him, but not putting on a lot. Now here, though, Merzlikins, I would like to know what the personal reasons are. But I get a feeling that if he's got personal reasons and they are like, oh my gosh, now they got something to play for again. I don't think they're losing this game and now they can put their sights on Merzlikins for whatever that reason may be, whatever it is. Not to mention, I don't know, in the past, when DeGrief's first game, he seems to win it every time. I don't have the stats on it. I didn't look at it, but he seems to win. When they bring him up in these spots, he seems to win quite a bit. I actually kind of like the fact that Greaves is in this game. So Columbus is a great first period team. If they're kind of going the playing for Merzlikins route, I like Columbus first period.
First period, yeah, I could see that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go first period money line. I'm going to put less on the puck line, more on the money line. I'm taking full game. And New Jersey also, the reason why I like this as well is New Jersey is an under first period team, which means they generally like to ease their way in the game, try to figure out what they're going to do against their opponent. And if they're going to do that against a Columbus team that's coming out Ryland, then I think they're probably going to lose in the first period. Then the thing that kind of concerns me, again, like you said, is Allen has been playing very well. I'm putting some on the team total over. I'm going on the system play, like you said, with the over 6 as well. Simply because also that New Jersey's got to be coming out here wanting to, with a little shame in themselves for that loss against Pittsburgh. So they're not going to come out. Either there's two ways it's going to go, and this is a good live bet. Either they're going to come really down and kind of flustered and wondering about themselves, or they're going to come out to try to prove themselves. I think it's probably the early one, so I'll throw a little bit on both teams to score as well.
All right, a little. So there you go. Mostly liking Columbus first period money line more than anything. Both.
Forgot. I agree with the draw. The draw too.
The draw too. There you go. This is I consider the draw here, and I still might bet it small. There's a draw I really like on this card, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, definitely, this is a game I think will be competitive. I think Columbus, like I say, I like them in this spot to win. They lost in New Jersey. They played terribly in New Jersey last week too. So I think this is I don't want to say must win because they're certainly not out of it if they lose, but their hopes get damaged in a big way if they lose. So it is an important game. All right, Buffalo, Boston. We've got the Sabres minus 115 road favorite, 6 the total in this game. Nah, I don't want to bet either side in this game. Now, the only side I could bet is Boston. They're coming off the debacle against Tampa Bay. 21 to freaking zip shots on goal for Tampa Bay in the second period against Boston on Saturday night. The crowd booed them off the ice. Pretty harsh considering how nice they played in the first couple games following the trade deadline with all this revamped roster. But I think reality is setting in for Boston now. That they had a nice little couple of games there following the trade deadline, but it's wearing off. They got obviously obliterated by Ottawa. They lose to Tampa Bay decisively in that game, of course, on Saturday night, and Tampa was ready for them because Tampa Bay, basically laid an egg at home against Boston. Right after the trade deadline. So you knew you were going to get Tampa's best there in that game. But I think tonight back home after that debacle against Tampa, you will see them play better, play hard. And certainly Buffalo is beatable. Buffalo's, a team we don't trust on the road. Boston has completely dominated and owned the Buffalo Sabres over the years. But I don't know. There's just something about this game. For me, I lean Boston for sure, but I feel it's just, there's better shit to do with my money than put it on either side in this game. That's just the way I feel. I would lean Boston if I had to. But what I do like as far as a total goes, are we going to get defense from Boston moving forward? Because to me, you're not seeing it at the moment. They get lit up by Ottawa. They get lit up by Tampa. We know Buffalo can't be trusted defensively, but we can trust Buffalo to score at times. And, lately they've been doing that. Look, they came back to beat Vegas. in that game and it was their offense that had to dig them out of that hole. We saw obviously them getting into that crazy up and down affair with Detroit before that. Buffalo can still put the puck in the net. It's obviously the defensive side where they're lacking. And Boston, to me, is a much worse defensive team post-trade deadline. I mean, they miss Carlo in the worst way. That's one of their best penalty killers, too, and he's with Toronto now. They're still without, of course, Lindholm and McAvoy. They're much worse on the back end defensively without those two guys. So maybe this is a up-and-down affair. I think the over could be in play here. I don't know about first-period over because, Boston at times hasn't been a first-period over team, but I lean over by Fecta, but I like the full game over more in this one. I think Boston's going to be one of those teams down the stretch here, where certainly defensively, they're not the team that they were a few weeks ago. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres, Bruins.
Yeah, this is one where I do think there will be goals, but I'm going to wait live for this. I'm not even going to bet anything pregame. This is one, like I said, we'll kind of see where the pace goes, and maybe if it's a kind of slow start, we can wait and get 5.5 with plus money here rather than going with a 6. So I'm leaning toward just betting full game over in game, but if I do see the pace early enough where I can grab something of value with the first period over, I'd add that as well. But this will definitely be one where back and forth, like I said, don't trust either side, just stick more with the totals.
Yeah, I think so. I think it could be one of those games where it kind of becomes an up and down affair between the Sabres and, like I said, there's no way I'm taking Buffalo on the road here, but I don't like the way Boston's trending. But they've obviously owned Buffalo. They've won 7 of the last 10 meetings. That being said, Buffalo finally got them 7-2 in the last meeting, January 28th, and Buffalo did win in Boston last year 3-1. So Buffalo has had a couple of wins here in the last 4. And yes, it had been an under series, but we had 9 goals, obviously, the last meeting. So I think this is just bet for goals. I don't really want to get involved with either side necessarily here. Perla, what do you think here? Sabres, Bruins.
Yeah, I'm on the over for sure. I like the over as well. Cool thing about this game is both of these teams are heading out on a Western road trip right after this. Buffalo's going to Utah, and I believe Boston is going to, is it Anaheim or LA? I can't remember. I think it's LA first or Anaheim.
Yeah, the California swing. Yep.
So I have to ask myself, which team is going to be most focused on this game? Boston actually has, can tell themselves that they have a chance still. Buffalo, on the other hand, they're coming off all fat because they won their internal moral immature Stanley Cup against Vegas. So I think I could see Buffalo checking out here in the third. I like Boston in this game money line. Also, but I do think that just like I did the last time I was on, Buffalo just came off a big win. I believe it was against the Oilers. And I said, I think they're going to have confidence in the first period and it'll be rolling and they'll pay attention. So I actually do like the first period over here. And I like both teams to score at a good price.
Yeah, I think I'm going to turn it into a bifecta because Jonathan's kind of backing you up as well with some of these stats with Buffalo overs in the first period on the road, Boston first period overs at home. So, yeah, I'll probably go bifecta.
And I think Boston's going to, after that second period, I think that debacle against Tampa, they're going to want to come out strong here. And not only that, Boston might have struggled against Tampa because I think they're a little unsure about themselves with all the trades that happened. But against a Buffalo team, I think they're going to have confidence they can beat this team here. So I think they're going to play with a lot of confidence. I would even and not only that, Luke, are they ever going to give Luukkonen a break? Why the heck are you playing the crap out of this guy? You're not making.
I'm done talking about it. It's absurd that he's just every fucking day, every game he's in that. It's just, come on now, Lindy.
It's ridiculous. So I could see Luukkonen getting tired and starting to look.
What do you think? You're 3 games out of a playoff spot, and you think you got to play him every game because these games are so meaningful? Come on.
I don't understand it at all. I don't have a clue. So I'm just going to put a smidge on Boston team total over as well. Just a smidge because I think that they will could pot a couple late. As well, because I think Buffalo will probably check out. But I like I like the Bruins money line here. I like the over. I got it at a 5.5 though. I got it at -122. I don't support it quite as much here because Buffalo may give up at the end, and this could end up being like 4-1 or something, or 4-2.
Well, look at the Detroit game. When things get away, especially on the road from Buffalo, they tend to
give up. Yeah. Right. So I would almost now that I talked about it, I think I'd lean more to Boston team total over. Actually.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be goals both ways. That's what I'm looking at. Yep.
They just you look at the roster and you wonder. Oh, by the way, I have a prop here for the end of the show.
All right, very good.
You make a good point about Buffalo too, moving forward with them going out west. They're not in any kind of race or anything. They might be focused on, being out in the warm weather, maybe playing a little golf. Their minds may be elsewhere, being out on that road trip. Whereas Boston might be a little bit more focused. So that's something to make a note for with those games down the line. But more so at Buffalo, they check out here. They might be checked out for maybe the next few games, and maybe team totals over against them. This might be the run to look for moving forward.
Yeah. Jordan Greenway, I'm taking a shot just because he's playing with Thompson and Tuck. I'm taking a shot, as far as props wise there for the Sabres. Benson with McLeod and Zucker, maybe Benson too, because he's going to get an opportunity there in that. And it looks like they've called up Brett Murray from the minors, and he's going to be on now he does have 40 points down there, 23 goals, and he's going to be on the third line with Krebs and Quinn. So there's a couple longer shot props I'd take a look at. I think for Boston right now, Geeky we've talked about, Kepke we've talked about. Don't sleep on the guy they got from the Minnesota Wild, Marat Husnudinov right now for the Boston Bruins. He's shown me a little punch here from that third line with Elias Lindholm, I should say, and Jakub Lauko. Back-to-back games with a goal for Marat Husnudinov. Scored against Ottawa, scored one of the games, and it was a terrible game against Tampa Bay, but he did get one of their goals in that game against the Lightning. So I think at that big plus money that you see with him, worth a shot as far as a goal prop tonight here in this game. All right, Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. We've got Tampa Bay minus 310 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. You got to know what I like here in this game. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning Revenge Tour. The first stop of the tour was Boston Saturday night, where they said, you know what? You bastards made us look bad on a national TV. We laid an egg. We were horrible, but you made us look bad too. 4-0. We're paying you back on Saturday. And, of course, a 6-2 win for Tampa. Last week in Philly, Lightning lose 4-3 in a shootout to the Flyers. That was a night with Jonas Johansson, of course, in net. He got the start that night. And now it's Tampa's turn to say, you know what? We're paying you back tonight. Tampa team total over. Once again, run it back, just like Saturday. Lightning team total over. 3.5. It's a pretty good price here. Minus 130 here in this game. The Flyers are, running on fumes right now. Not playing very good hockey at all. Shocker. Can't score goals all of a sudden. 1-6 in their last 7 games. And in 5 of the 6 losses, 2 goals or less. Coming off a shutout loss, of course, to Carolina. 5-0 on Saturday night. And I was on the Carolina team total over against the Flyers in that game. I think Alex was as well. Very straightforward, cut and dried. Tampa Bay team total over 3.5 here in this one to get to 4 goals. Losing to Philly last week, but that was Johansson in net. They get to 4 goals tonight in the rematch at Amalie. Alex, what do you think here? Flyers Lightning.
Yeah, right there with you. I got minus 128 with that team total, minus 3.5. You could maybe also go with the 4 flat at BetMGM, but like I said, I laid the price and played it safe. I would play it up to 135 with that over 3.5. That's just the way to go against Philly moving forward.
Yeah. It's just Philly's not very good right now. Tampa, Tampa's not just going to say, you know what, we've been losing a few games in a row there. We beat Boston. Let's go back and lose again. No, the focus will be there, especially because they, I think, lost to this Flyers team last week. So definitely the team total over for Tampa Bay like that quite a bit here in this one. And by the way, it should be noted here that we are going to get Ivan Fedotov. Not that it matters right now because Ersson hasn't been his best lately either, but Ivan Fedotov in net. I mean, if they keep playing the way they're playing in front of their goalies, it's not going to matter who's in net. And, of course, Vasi will get the start this time around, Andrei Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay. Perlo, Flyers, Lightning.
I'm with you. Team total over for sure. I'm also going to take the Lightning puck line, too, at my plus 115, I think it is, or something like that. I think they'll come out hard here. Pretty much anything that you want to take on Tampa Bay. I don't see Philadelphia. That was sort of like almost their cup. I think it was the only time that they actually felt like they wanted to play that we've seen in a while. And I don't think it's you're not going to create that energy on the road against Tampa Bay. You're only going to do that likely at home, and they did it. So yeah, you got a Tampa Bay revenge spot. They're trying to get right too. They had a bad road trip there. Tampa tends to always at the end here, it's a little uneasy with Tampa because quite often they've been to the playoffs so much. They've won their cups. I think they're kind of in that let's get the playoffs started mode here. So I might fade them down the road, but I'm not going to fade them here. They have too much reason. So I'm going to take team total over 3.5, minus 0.5. I looked at Philadelphia team total under, but it's minus 140, and it's just not really that great. If you really want to, take team total under 1.5. And the reason why I'd say is usually what happens when two Russian goaltenders get together, you say, well, the one that's not so good is going to play really well because they're playing against Vasilevsky, and they seem to do well when they're playing. But this is Fedotov. And Vasilevsky is probably in that mode where he wants to beat that Russian goaltender. And if that's the case, they could just completely shut it down here. So you could even take Philadelphia team total under 1.5 and throw some pizza money on that.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just going to say and mention in the chat and give a shout out to Damon Williams. He has a really great idea. Taking Tampa team total over, parlay with Philly team total under.
Yeah.
You can take that 2.5 under with the 3.5 over. That's plus 167 at FanDuel. So that's something that I might add that to my portfolio tonight.
And last year we saw these teams. Yeah, I was just going to say last year, Pearl, we saw these teams in a similar situation right around the same time of the season. Philly on February 27th last year beat Tampa 6-2 in Philly. They played in Tampa about a week and a half later, and Tampa fucking dummied them, shut them out 7-0 in the rematch.
That's why I would kind of take a little bit on the over here too, because I think Tampa could beat them that bad. Philly might just get one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is definitely one I actually considered the full game puck line. And, I'm not a big puck line bettor. I'm not Ian puck line, unlike our guy Jimmy. But I will say this. I did consider it here, but I'm going to just stick with straightforward meat and potatoes here. Tampa Bay
puck line, you're laying 115 with minus 1.5. So, no, it's not the same price.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus give yourself plus money.
Yeah.
Maybe Tampa gives up in the third and Philly keeps on rolling or keeps on trying. And then, that's what I don't want to do.
Yeah. So that's the way I would go about it with that game. And then as far as what was one more thing I was going to add, I think, for this game, as far as props, let me just see. I got to look at my sheet here. Here's a couple I would throw out there. Gage Gonsalves and Nick Paul. Both of them have heated up goal scoring wise for Tampa Bay. Obviously, we think of the big guns like Cooch and obviously Braden Point and Jake Gensel. But those two guys have really stepped up a little bit for them of late for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So a little under the radar, a couple of players to consider here for goal props tonight in this one. And it is a system play, as Jonathan says. So I will get in on the over by Fecta Small, but nothing close to what I like with the Lightning team total over is the better bet, in my opinion, by a fair margin. All right, next up, we've got Calgary and Toronto. It's on Monday. It's only on Prime. It is. It's Monday Night Hockey on Amazon Prime north of the border. Toronto minus 200 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. It's a not full-blown panic yet, but you can see on Leafs Twitter that the fan base is a little upset, a little concerned. They're not thrilled with what they're seeing. They're starting to get a little agitated with the lack of production from Austin Matthews and, Nylander at a pretty Nylander actually scored a nice goal the other night. So I think they got to get off his case a little bit. They said Marner wasn't good against Ottawa, but Marner's had a great season. I think it's just take a breath, guys. Every team's going to go through a little bit of a funk. None of this shit matters with Toronto right now that you're struggling. You could be struggling right now. You could be on a 10-game win streak by now. None of it, either way, matters. You know what matters for Toronto? April, May, and June. What are you doing? How are you playing? Are you winning? That's what's going to matter. So at the end of the day, whether they're struggling and they're in a funk right now or they're on a 10-game win streak, I would say, who cares? You shouldn't be as upset as you are for the little blip right now as a Leaf fan, and you shouldn't be getting the parade organized if you're on a 10-game win streak right now, because none of it matters. You're going to be in the playoffs, just a question of where you finish, and you're going to be evaluated on success or failure based on April, May, and June. It's that simple. All right, so let's calm down with the hysteria here with what we've seen from the Leafs here the last few games. Every team goes into a little bit of a malaise, and Toronto's in one. And the schedule's been relentless for Toronto of late. That has certainly played a role in it, no doubt. Disappointing against Ottawa. Craig Berube saying we didn't match the intensity from the start. The opening puck drop against Ottawa. We'll see if they can fix that here because they got a desperate team coming in again in the Calgary Flames. Here in this game, who need every point they can get right now as they remain just on the outside looking in of the Western Conference playoff race. Dustin Hungry-Lack the Wolf. Dustin Wolf in net for Calgary confirmed. Backlund and Zary still out. Joseph Woll will get the start here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not a big surprise because Stolarz was in net Saturday against Ottawa, so a lot of times they've been going back and forth here in this game. Toronto, at this price, I'm not there. Minus 200 with the way they've gone. They're 1-5 in their last 6 games, and the only win was a shootout win against the Utah Hockey Club. That being said, the losses were, Vegas, Colorado, Florida, and a red-hot Ottawa team the last 4 games. So, they definitely have played a tough schedule. This is going to be their weakest opponent that they've played since Utah, and that's the one game that they won. So, and from all indications, they're going to wear their Toronto St. Pat's jerseys tonight at home. I think I know off the top of my head, they do have a winning record with those jerseys, especially at home. I remember they beat Carolina at home earlier this season when they wore those St. Pat's jerseys. They do play well in those jerseys at home. I don't know the exact record, but I think they're coming to play, but not at minus 200. And so is Calgary, though. Calgary's coming to play, and obviously they've got Dustin Wolf playing very well in net, can keep this game close. Calgary has been lately, kings of close games. 3 of the last 6 games have gone to overtime or a shootout, a couple of 1-goal games in there. Toronto, 4 of the last 9 games have gone past regulation. And how about this kicker of a stat? 4 straight meetings in Toronto, Flames versus Leafs, have gone to overtime. This is a draw that I don't just like, I love. I think this is as strong a draw scenario as I have seen in quite some time. It sets up perfectly. Both teams need the points, especially Calgary. Calgary and Toronto are in different conferences, different races. Neither team is concerned if the other team gets a point out of this game. So if it's close late in the third period, get to overtime, get the point in the bank. For Calgary, every point matters. And even for Toronto, we need to bank points here if we're going to catch Florida for first in the Atlantic. So I really love this setup for the draw. Like I said, it's actually one of my favorite bets. It's not my best bet. This is actually a game where I consider the draw as my best bet for the show today. That's how much I like it. That's how much I think this game's got a great chance to go past regulation time. So I actually think this could be a tight game. I could see it being a little bit, of a cagey affair between the Flames and the Leafs tonight here in Toronto. Now, it hasn't been that way. The last 2 meetings in Toronto were both 5-4, and 3 straight meetings have gone over, which makes you think maybe over. But I just get the feeling this is going to be maybe more of a battle between these 2 teams, lower scoring battle, that is. No, but I didn't bet the total. I'm not betting the side, but absolutely love this draw here, which you can get upwards of plus 350 right now at Pinnacle. Perla, what do you think here in this one, Calgary, Toronto?
Totally with you on the draw. It's everything says draw in this game. I would even go draw in the first period. Calgary, Toronto better be ready to fight in this game because I think Calgary's coming in here with a burr in their saddle. That's going to be the question to me, is whether Toronto is really willing to fight in this game. So, and I don't think they are, to tell you the honest truth. Unfortunately, Calgary you saw it in Vancouver. They were wanting to fight in that game, and they ended up giving up power play after power play. So hopefully it's more controlled here. But I think Toronto's shaken. After that Florida game, I went against them. That was like a measuring stick game for them. And you mentioned something really important, is it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season, and they know it. They hear it every day. They hear it all the time. So when Florida came in, that was like a playoff type game. That was like and Florida generally gets up for those games, and they did end up winning. And I think it shook Toronto a little bit. And I still think they're a little shaken now. So I'm going to take Calgary first period here. I'm going to take Calgary in the first period. I think they're going to come out hard in the first period. I think Toronto's still a little shaky. They're going to want to wake up somewhere in this game to get some points. Like something's going to happen. Not to mention, what do you I'm going to ask you guys this. Does St. Paddy's Day, is this going to be a better crowd here in Toronto than normal for a St. Paddy's Day, or is it's a Monday?
Maybe a little bit, but not overwhelmingly better than it is during the course of the week.
It won't be as rowdy of a crowd like it will be in Boston or here in St. Paul tonight.
Yeah, that's the reason why I kind of like Boston there as well. So I think the Flames create their own energy here in Toronto doesn't, and the Flames end up taking the first period. And then after that, like I said, I like the draw. I think the Flames take some penalties. Toronto put them on the power play, and they can get it back. But I like the draw. But I will take Flames first period at that plus money. I won't touch Toronto right now and where they're at.
All right, like in Calgary first period. The only thing I object to with the Flames first period look is the chatter that they got to be fast and start strong, which they have not done. Some of these, but maybe
there's also that
they can talk about it. They got to do it though. I like that. So, which is your angle that they can say all they want. We got to start fast and start strong. They got to do it, and that's part of the reason why you kind of like Calgary. Until they show me they can do it, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I just think Calgary's going to want to fight here, and Toronto's going to want to come out and play more of a perimeter type game like they do, and Calgary will take it. But the other thing is Wolf give up the first goal would be a problem there too, because
he does do that often.
He has a tendency to give up the first goal, so that's. I'm not going to put a lot on that. I'm going to put. This is one of the first times, and you mentioned it. I'm actually putting more on the draw than I am on any other bet here.
Me too. To me, the draw is the best bet in this game, easily, especially with the value you're getting at plus 350. I have a feeling Alex agrees.
Oh yeah. Definitely, yeah. I'm on this draw. It's one of the first bets I made this morning. I did also add, just going by the law of averages of how some of these games have finished of late. I took a 3-3 correct score shot plus 1,300 as well with that. But this is a classic draw season kind of a spot. These are two teams that kind of just play and kind of would mirror each other, especially late in the game. Like I said, this is one where if you see the game, it's 2-1. Team scored the next goal to tie it 2-2. You can take a shot also with that no goal rest of regulation, depending on how late it is in the game. That's something I'll have circled as well. So everything draw centric with this.
I would even take draw first period too, to tell the honest truth. Split it up between draw first period and Flames money line, and one of those will hit and you'll be up money.
And a note on how they play with the St. Pat jerseys on. So they've worn that 4 times going all the way back to 2002. That 2002 game ended in a 3-3 tie, but the other 3 games were all victories for Toronto.
Yeah, so they've been good in those jerseys. I know they beat Carolina this year in that jersey earlier this year at home. So we'll see how this one plays out. So, yeah, really like this draw for sure. And there are a couple props. I don't know how much it could be. Maybe it is going to be 5-4 like it was the last 2 times in Toronto, but I have a feeling it's going to be more 3-2, type of game. But Kadri going back to Toronto, I do think he's worth a look, and he scored, by the way, in 2 of the last 5 games for the Flames, 4 of the last 10. Farabee's actually started to really pick things up for Calgary here as well of late. You look at the line combinations here on the Toronto side. It's going to be shaken up again. Nyes, Matthews, and Marner together again. Pontus Holmberg, there's value. Now, he's not a great finisher. He's had a million chances before in the past playing with Tavares and Nylander. Doesn't finish enough of them, but you're getting great value still up on the second line. Pontus Holmberg for the Toronto Maple Leafs there in that spot. I'm going to go to Nicky Robertson too. He did not score on Saturday coming back into the lineup after being a healthy scratch, but he's often been a player that when he does return to the lineup after being sat down, he does strike and find the back of the net. But so I'm going to take a shot there with Nick Robertson in this one. Yeah, you're right. You need the team total over 3.5, Jonathan, for the Leafs. So you're right. We don't need that. You don't need that 3-2 garbage. You're right. You're right about that. Good stuff. Good call there. All right. We want everybody to win here on the Ice Guys show. All right. LA and Minnesota. We've got LA minus 150, road favorites, 5.5, the total in this game. This is one I like to draw a little bit in. Not as much as the last game, but I do think it could get there. This feels like one of those games. Like LA went to overtime at home against Nashville, and we know LA is not the same team on the road. You would expect LA to maybe have a little bit of a tougher time. And I think if you're Minnesota, I think they got to show up and play well here. That was terrible the other night against the St. Louis Blues. Now, I know we've talked about this with Minnesota. Reality is sinking in that you just cannot get it done consistently when you're missing a Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek for as long as you are. And they thought they were going to get Jonas Brodin back, but he's still out as well for the Minnesota Wild. So still very much shorthanded. Philip Gustafsson confirmed in net. The red-hot Darcy Kemper in net for LA. And I need to take a moment because I have not been as appreciative of his season. He was a nightmare last year in Washington. It was a terrible year for him. Let's give him credit for the bounce back he's had. Now, at times on the road this year, he hasn't been nearly as sharp, but especially at home, it's hard to beat this guy. And he is now off back-to-back shutout victories against Washington and Nashville. 45 shots faced, turned all 45 shots aside in those two games. 22, 8, and 4, 2.16 goals against, .918 save percentage for Darcy Kemper this year. We do need to give him a little respect here, a little shout out. Like, great job this year. It was a bad year for him in Washington, and the Kings took a chance that we can get more the Darcy Kemper that won a Stanley Cup for the Colorado Avalanche. And so far this year, they have gotten that type of performance from him so far this year, Darcy Kemper. So shout out to him. He's had a great year. This feels like an under, a stone cold under to me. Kings and Wild. Minnesota is a team that I think now they didn't have a great defensive game by their standards the other night against St. Louis. Clearly, they did not play well at that end of the ice. But as with LA's performance on the road not being as good at home this year, their offensive production dwindles and goes down on the road compared to at home. You look at the Chicago game, they only scored one goal. They lost to the Blackhawks. 1 goal in a loss at St. Louis. 2 goals in a loss at Dallas. So that's just, just some of the pattern that we have seen from the Kings. We're on the road. They don't win as much. They don't score as much away from Crypto.com arena. So I think this is definitely an under type of game between these two teams. Minnesota has been, what are they? 6-4 to the under. They had gone under in 4 straight games before giving up 5. And it only went over the total because of St. Louis scoring 5 goals in that game. They know they got to win games playing defensive hockey right now without Kaprizov. There's no question about that. So definitely feels like an under spot. Alex, what do you think here? Kings, Wild.
So I pregame bet the draw here. I got plus 320, but this is the game I will be live betting. This is when I'll be chiming in with the Patreon chat in tonight, because I did this with Minnesota against the Rangers the other night. I had 3 bets that I cashed with goal to score next. So that's the way I've been kind of just watching these Wild games and betting and just kind of reading the pace, seeing who's going to score in the next goal in that game. So I think this could go back and forth. If you like either side, I think you'll be able to grab a plus price with either team at some point tonight in game. So good in-game wagering, and I took a shot with the draw pregame.
There's the numbers for Kemper. Now, great numbers overall, but just amazing, blistering numbers at home. Look at those numbers at home. That's unbelievable what Kemper's doing. And on the road, they're good. They're okay. They're good. They're not great on the road. So
he's a home version of Kevin Lankinen, basically. How Kevin Lankinen's numbers on the road were just outrageous at the beginning of the year. Same thing with Kemper at home.
That being said, Minnesota can't score right now. Okay, 2 goals or less in 5 straight games for the Minnesota Wild. And he's going back to the organization he started his NHL career with. The Minnesota Wild, going back to Minnesota. So it would not shock me if he has a good game tonight, Darcy Kemper, going back to Minnesota. Perlo, what do you think here? LA, Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota can't score. LA can't keep pucks out of their net lately on the road. But is that going to be a problem with Minnesota? I would say probably not. You brought up a lot of good things there with Kemper and going back to his old team and all of that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take under 1.5 first period. I think it'll be a low and slow first period. LA hasn't been scoring first period on the road very well. Minnesota can't score at all, so I'll take that. And I'm going to take the draw as well. And I think that's about it. I just can't trust LA on the road. Minnesota it just seems like a complete draw spot. Yeah, draw. That's it.
Yeah, draw is the only bet I have pregame, and I lean under here in this game. Even though, as Jonathan says, Kings have gone over in 4 of their last 5 road games. We'll see about if that continues tonight. It's still tough to trust these two offenses overall right now. Here's something that might surprise you. I just realized this looking at the Kemper stats, because they always have the date of birth and all that. Darcy Kemper's going to be 35 years old in 2 months. That's pretty shocking. You wouldn't think he's that old, but he's going to be 35. In a couple of shows you how long he's been around. But you know what? But you don't. You know why you don't think he's 35? Because he still has that young look to him. When you see him. But he's 35. Yeah. Wow. Didn't think he was that. I thought he was closer to 31, 32. Wow.
I remember him from the minors. So yeah, he's been around for quite a bit.
Yeah, he's been around. Definitely. Quite a bit. I'm now looking at it too. Like he first started in Minnesota, 2012. So that's 13 years. So it does make more sense now when you see that he's 35 years old. There's no question. We'll see how he fares tonight. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Time for one more cheers before we get to the final part of the show with Bargain Bin and Best Bets. So again, St. Paddy's Day, Slancha. Cheers. Yeah. All right. Good stuff indeed. Thanks for joining us as always. And again, reminder, 1 week from tomorrow is our next Ice Guys Betcast, and it is Patreon exclusive. Tuesday, March 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 1 week from tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. And that's going to be the start of a ton of betcasts coming your way into April. We're going to have just a ton of them. Schedule will be announced soon. Multiple betcasts. We're going to have a ton of Patreon exclusive betcasts. At the very least, one free-for-all betcast in April as well. So all of that on the way. And a reminder, if you want to join us for next Tuesday's betcast, March 25th, you must be a Patreon member and must be subscribed at patreon.com/iceguys for just $10 per month. Again, goalie charts, totals charts, and again, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And again, our betcast next Tuesday. So make sure you sign up before then to get involved with that. We got a lot more of those coming as far as the live betcasts that are exclusive to Patreon, April and beyond. So make sure you sign up. $10 per month. Again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We got all new merch in the store. No deals as of right now, but we will have standard shipping coming up for free pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. So take a look around, add things to your cart, and wait for the new specials to come up pretty soon. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yes, exactly. Check out the store. And I can't believe I failed to mention that. But yes, you do have to bet Quinton Byfield to score. You just have to. Plus 330 at FanDuel. You have to. There's no question about that. It is absolutely worth a look, in my opinion, at that price, obviously, with what we have seen from him throughout during this great run that he's put together. He scored the only goal against Nashville the other night in overtime. It's great to see him finally find his way. People were starting to worry, is this guy going to live up to the billing of his first round status? Well, he's on a 6-game goal scoring streak right now, trying to make it 7 here tonight for the LA Kings. So yeah, Quinton Byfield plus 330. You got to ride it at this point. Great stuff. We'll be right back with Bargain Bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, And a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. on a solid fire St. Patrick's Day Monday. Make sure you check out all the great options at the website and use the promo code ICEGUYS to get 20% off at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. I got 2 bargain bin specials lined up for this Monday. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special.
Yeah, we head to Toronto. You got the Calgary Flames taking on the Toronto St. Pats tonight. Give me Pontus Holmberg anytime goal scorer. Moving up to the second line. You can get him as high as plus 1,000 available at BetMGM. Pontus Holmberg anytime goal scorer for Toronto tonight on my St. Patrick's Day bargain bin special.
He gets chances, I'm telling you. And when you play with Tavares and Nylander, you're going to get chances. But he's got those fucking cement hands. And you just hope that one of these times he's actually going to finish one of those prime opportunities. Hopefully tonight is the night for Pontus Holmberg for the Toronto Maple Leafs, plus 1,000 for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. Perlo, bargain bin special. What do you like?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, and I've been on this guy and hoping he got traded out of Minnesota for a while because the kid is shifty. He's one hell of a he's a shifty player, man. And now he's getting that opportunity to play in the top 6. Who's Nudinov, man? I love this guy. I took him once when he was playing against Montreal, and I put him up there. He got like 4 shots, but he didn't pot it. But I like him here, so I'm taking who's Nudinov at like plus 470 or plus 500 or something like that.
There you go. I like it, and I do like it because that's one of the 2 for me.
I knew it was.
Yeah, Marat Pustinov for the Boston Bruins, and I'm right there with Perlo on this one. That's one of my 2. Bargain bin specials. Marat Husnadinov for the Boston Bruins, plus 540 at Batano.
You got it at
the absolute best price out there. Now it's on. Now that is an Ontario only book, Perlo. So that's the only concern there. You got to be in Ontario to bet there. But plus 540, plus 500 still at FanDuel, and plus let me see, 460 at Caesars, 425 at DraftKings, 450 at Bet365. Still great prices. So Marat Husnadinov for the Boston Bruins, my first bargain bin special. My second bargain bin special is going to be the guy we talked about in the last game. He's going for a goal in 7 straight games. Quentin Byfield, LA Kings, plus 330 at FanDuel. So there you go. Byfield and Husnadinov, 2 bargain bin specials here for me tonight on this Monday card. All right, best bets. 2-0 sweep with best bets yesterday. Let's see if we can deliver another sweep of the board here on Monday. Alex, best bet.
Well, we all love it. Universally, like I said, it's one of the stronger plays of the day. We're going with Toronto and Calgary, the draw, plus 350 available, best price at FanDuel. So we're going to go with that. And like I said, sprinkle a little bit of that correct score 3-3 as well, plus 1,300 available at the same book. But loving this game to go past regulation with the Flames and the St. Pats here on this St. Patrick's Day Monday.
That's right. Toronto St. Pat's for one night, taking on the Calgary Flames. The draw plus 350, best bet for Alex B. Smith. Perlo, best bet.
I'm stealing yours, I know it, but I can't do anything else. But I'll do 2 just in case I know it is. I'm taking Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. But if you're taking that, I like to have like 3 picks from different players. So I'll go for Columbus first period money line. if you're taking that one.
I'm actually not taking that or Columbus. So
Okay.
you have missed totally.
So I got Tampa team total over 3.5. That's
Tampa Bay team total over 3.5 on my card. The Columbus looks are on my card, but neither of those are best bet. Best bet for me is going to be at 5.5 minus 130 at DraftKings. We're going with Sabres Bruins over 5.5 minus 130. I like that one. I think we'll see goals over 5.5 for a best bet. Was good to me yesterday with Dallas, Colorado. See if we can get it to be just as magical again today. I think we'll see goals. One thing about Boston, they're nowhere near as good defensively with this current roster. They just allowed 6 goals in back-to-back games each to Ottawa and Tampa Bay. Buffalo can still score, but in Boston, I think the Bruins are going to get their offense going. The one thing about the Sabres, last time they were on the road, they gave up a touchdown to the Detroit Lions. You would have thought it was Bills Lions last Wednesday night. So I think the Bruins will score. I think Buffalo will as well. So Sabres Bruins over 5.5 minus 130 for my best bet here for this Monday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. One last one for the road. Here we go. Happy St. Paddy's Day for all of you out there. Make sure you celebrate it and don't end up in a ditch somewhere if you're going to be drinking all night. That's all we ask. We want you to be back here tomorrow. All right. Good stuff indeed. Great show as always. Matty Robb will be in the house tomorrow on the Tuesday show. Looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and for Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Enjoy the rest of your St. Paddy's Day. And we'll be back with you tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.